What's up, fight fans? This is Counterpunched with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Manny Pacquiao. Get this. For those who don't know, Manny Pacquiao is reportedly to unretire to fight Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title. Okay. Of course, we know Manny Pacquiao is 45 years of age. And Mario Barrios is a younger fighter, of course. You know, he's 29 years old. He's still in his 20s. You know, 29, 2, and 18. He recently beat Yordenis Ugas in a very good fight, which I think that was his coming out fight. I think that fight showed that, you know, he's on the level. Abel Ramos, of course, that was a very close fight, which I think that could have went either way. Other than that, though, the Keith Thurman fight and the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, he lost. But they were very good fights, the fights that he lost in. Now, what does that mean for Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao, legend. I think Manny is a guy that when you think about exciting fighters, you think about Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny has done things that I don't think some other fighter would probably ever do. Let's just be real. I think, you know, he's pretty much done, you know, the unthinkable. 8-division world champion. I mean, I don't think you're going to do more than that. But I will say this. I think there is a such thing as being addicted to the fight game. You know, I think it's I don't know if it's a term yet, but I think certain fighters just don't know when to quit. And I think Manny Pacquiao is one of those fighters. I mean, he last fought just shy of 4 years ago against Yordenis Ugas. That was beat by Mario Barrios, okay, in a fight that he didn't really look well at all. Okay, he didn't look well, and I don't even really believe he had a reason or an excuse on why he didn't. He said, well, I think he did say something about his calf muscle, you know, and my counter to that is, if you knew you had a problem or an issue with your calf, why are you going in there with a live dog like Yordenis Ugas? You know, like it makes no sense to me. You know, I am glad, and I do take satisfaction and knowing Manny Pacquiao wasn't beat by guys like Crawford or Spence, because you knew what was going and what direction that was going when they wanted Pacquiao to fight Errol Spence. If you guys can remember, they wanted Manny Pacquiao as this sacrificial lamb for Errol Spence to be that superstar, just like, you know, Oscar De La Hoya was for Manny Pacquiao, and you know what I mean, just like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was for Oscar De La Hoya. So they really wanted this sacrificial lamb type fight for Manny, and Manny was that guy that will sit there smiling and saying that he would beat Spence and all this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, more than likely, the style that Ugas has versus the style that Errol Spence has, more than likely you wouldn't. That wouldn't have went well. And I'm glad it was Yordenis Ugas, a guy that doesn't bang as hard as someone like, you know, Spence, because that would have been bad. And also with Crawford. You know, that Crawford fight was on the line a long time ago. But I don't think Manny Pacquiao should be fighting now. I don't think. I think if this should be anything, it should be an exhibition. It shouldn't be anything serious to the point where it's that strenuous that causes him that type of damage at this point of his life, because Manny's older than I am, but not by much. And I noticed the things, if I do the things that I used to do, especially at age 29, that I haven't done in a long time, it takes me longer to recover, naturally. Whereas back then it wasn't, because, you know, your testosterone's high, everything, you know, you're young. your body's able to adjust, your body's able to heal faster. Those are one of the attributes and the beauty of being young, right? But Manny, I don't want him, and I don't want to see him getting in there and being in there with guys like Mario Barrios, because I don't think that he could compete with Mario because of the age. That's 45 years and then some, okay? Because by the time they fight, if it's after December, he'll be 46, right? So no, I don't like that whole idea. I don't think that that's a good idea for Manny. I know Manny would have sparked this dude before. If Gervonta can do it at 140, I know Manny can do it at 147. Because Manny is just that good with his legs. And we don't even know how well Manny can compete. I'll say this, though, about fighters. I think if a fighter gets into a situation where he's never been in, that may be the best thing. In other words, what I'm saying is, if he goes in there and gets his ass whooped really badly, he may not want to go and fight again, which people wouldn't want to see, because that is embarrassing. It is. It's embarrassing, because you don't want to see a legend like that get beat by someone that's not even on the level. And I don't think Mario Barrios is on the level Manny Pacquiao was ever on. You see what I mean? Or should I say, I don't think Mario Barrios will ever be on the level as Manny Pacquiao. That's what I meant to say. And that being said, if he goes in there and gets beat by somebody, it would only be because they were younger, and that's just really not fair. But it just shows you why you shouldn't go in there fighting someone much younger than you, because there's no fair way to see how much better you are than him, okay, at that age. Because he will always perform better than you. Because experience can do one thing for you, but it doesn't really mean much if you don't have the physical attributes to actually pull it off. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of people, I have the experience. Well, it doesn't really mean much. You just know things. You can see what a fighter can do, but it doesn't mean you can physically pull it off. You know what I'm saying? So it does take someone. This is a young man's sport. This is not someone, hey, I just know it all and I know how to do this and do that and I can just do this one thing and get the job done. No, it doesn't work like that in boxing. It takes timing. It takes speed. It takes athleticism. It takes a lot of things, in order to be successful, be competitive, win in this sport. Okay, so it is what it is. I do think that Manny Pacquiao is looking for a challenge. And if he wants a challenge, have another child. You know what I mean? Or do an exhibition like Floyd, or better yet, if Manny still wants to fight, I'm not saying he can't compete. Fight someone in that age bracket. Don't fight someone 29 years of age. Now, if he can pull it up, does that mean it was a good idea? It still doesn't. It still doesn't mean it was a good idea just because he won. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that. It just means that, hey, you're still good, but I think you should have still sit down. But you guys tell me what you think of Manny Pacquiao coming back to the sport at age 45. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.